Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June meeting of the Town of Milton Planning Board. I was going to have Miss Marin lead us. She's not here. Mr. Frey, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I just have a couple of announcements. First, the Comprehensive Plan Committee held its final public meeting on May 21st in Rock City Falls. We had a reasonable turnout and got lots of input on the vision and goals of the plan, as well as ideas around some of the preliminary zoning concepts that were presented. Residents had a lot to say about some of the concepts, and their comments will be included in developing the draft plan. The committee will be presented with a draft plan later this month, and we have a few weeks for commenting prior to the board being presented to the town board. And then once the town board receives the draft plan, it will refer it to the planning board for our review and recommendations pursuant to 181. So probably sometime in July, we're going to be asked to provide comments on that. So sorry to eat up some of your summertime and reviewing it, but that will be it. The next meeting of the Comprehensive Plan Committee is scheduled for July 8th at 6:30 p.m., where the preliminary draft plan will be discussed. That's all I have. Anybody else have anything for comments or announcements? There being none, our first order of business is the approval of the May 14th Planning Board minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the May 14th, 2025 meeting minutes of the Milton Planning Board.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Little second.
I'll second.
Fry. Any comments or changes to the minutes? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza. Yes. Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Chairman Bartow.
Yes. At this meeting, at this point, we'll open the meeting to public comment. Please note that we do not have any other public comments this evening. So if you have any comments, this will be the time to do it. We have both virtual and in-person opportunities for comments. So I'd ask if you're Zooming, if you could use the hand wave feature to let us know you'd like to make a comment. And if you make comments, please limit them to 3 minutes and try to avoid redundant comments. If you have written comments, please summarize them. And if you'd like to leave a copy with us, we will take them. I will open the public comment period at 7:03 p.m. Anybody choose to address the board at this time? Anybody online?
Nope.
Okay, there being no public comments, we'll close the public comment period at 7:04 p.m. All right, our first project we have is the continued review of the site plan for a bar at 410 Geyser Road. If you recall, we last saw this project last month where we conducted and closed the public hearing on the site plan. We also left the applicant with a request to obtain some additional information on emergency vehicle access and screening. Does the applicant or the representative have an update for us?
Good evening, Scott Lansing with Lansing Engineering, representing Jenna Clark, who's also here with me this evening. As you mentioned, the public hearing was closed at the last meeting. Just to give the board a quick update, I can go through the details of the project. I think
Sure. No, just the updates.
Project, in an effort to save time. As far as the comments from the last meeting, both from the planning board, planning department, and the town engineer. First one was relative to the truck turning template and emergency service access into the site. So you may recall some of these spaces along the front here, they did extend down a little bit further. In talking with emergency services, they want a little more of a swing in there to be able to get their fire truck in there. Utilizing their turning template, we can get a truck in there if they need to get into the back for some reason. So they were happy with those adjustments, and they did provide a letter stating their acceptance of the adjustments. Next item was to show current vegetation on the plans. The applicant did do some removal of some trees out there, so we did go out to the site, identify exactly where the tree line is as it exists today, and that is reflected on the plans that we have provided to the town. Next one was to show the proposed plantings on the plan. So we did update the planting plan to show the various plantings. We have plantings out in the back portion, some out in the front in this vicinity, and then also off on the edge to help shield that parking for the planning board's request. Also was, as far as the fence, what type of fence and, the height. We are proposing a 6-foot high fence. I did talk with the applicants just before the meeting. They're in the process of taking, some of the trees that they, did take down on the property. They're actually, sawing those down, making rough sawn wood and making a nice natural fence to put along, the edges where we are proposing fence. And we are proposing fence, in this area right here. And then also along the side on this vicinity. On the western side, they would supplement that with a net above, over the top of the fence, so any parents' volleyballs would not go off the property on the other side. Last but not least were the hours of operation. The board did request that the applicant identify specifically what hours she was thinking. First off, as far as the indoor service area, so inside the structure itself, she is proposing 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. Outdoor service area, which would be basically this the patio area right here. That would be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then the recreation areas, meaning the volleyball courts, and then the outdoor game area would be 11 a.m. to 9:30 p.m. So I do believe that addresses the comments. I do have also the engineering comments from Mary Beth Bianconi from Delaware Engineering. If I could go through those quickly, I think all in all, I felt they were technical comments. Just want to make sure I go through those. The first one was relative to the system itself, and that she did outline that the design flows appear reasonable. So that is a comment noted. There was a request to show the actual test pit location. So we did go out there. We did a deep hole and a perk test on the parcel. And that testing was done pretty much right in the middle of the system. So she just wanted to confirm that those were in that area. So we have confirmed that. There's also a comment about the perk rates. We did stabilize percolation rates. We were just barely over minutes per inch. There was a comment that if there's below a minute, you need to amend soils, but we do feel we're over that minute. And the other test pit was actually, I think it was like 1.5 minutes or closer to 2 minutes. So we feel we're going to consistently be over the 1 minute. Typically, if we see something below a minute, it's like 10 to 30 seconds and it doesn't raise at all, where these stabilized and did go over a minute. So we feel confident that that is appropriately over 1 minute. Next comment was relative to the design standards and that a grease trap is proposed, but to note the size of which shall be determined at the time of building permit application should be added to the plans. We do have a specification for the size of that grease trap on the plans, but we will add a note saying that if it does change, that building permit application will be sized for that facility. Next was relative to the expansion area. Prior to, we did have the expansion area is this kind of dashed area right here. Prior to this revision, we did have it down where a corner of that was underneath the parking lot. While that typically is appropriate, we figured it'd be very easy just to move that towards the north and have that not be any sort of a concern. So we have made that adjustment. Next comment was relative to the leach field underneath the playing area. The chambers that we are proposing do require, I think it's a minimum of 6, but a maximum of 18 inches. So we will have the 18 inches covered. There should be no issues with any sort of play or any sort of activity over the top of those chambers, provided are not running heavy equipment or trying to construct structures or anything over the top of that, which the applicant is not proposing to do. So on the last one, plans have been edited to include the approximate location of the existing septic system and state that it shall be removed and disposed of appropriately. I think that was more just a statement. So I think if it is okay with the town engineer and the board, I think really the only one we need to add on that is just a note saying that if the septic system, if the grease trap needs to be a different size, that it will be amended at the building permit process. So that was essentially it for the engineering comments. I think I went through the planning as far as the letter from Assistant Chief Rob Sowell that was provided for EMS and accepting the access, updating the planting plan to include the various plants. There was a reference to defer to the Delaware engineering comments, which I just went through those. And then advise a secure letter of commitment from Heritage Water, including the ability to provide connection and service to the site. We were able to provide that, get that and provide that to the board. There was a comment about the fencing, which I did just go through as far as the fencing on the western side and the eastern side of the court area and the net above that. The hours of operation and last but not least, coordination with Milton Fire District, which we did as well. So that's essentially it. Again, here tonight for questions and comments from the board, and we would like to request the board's consideration of approval for the project. Thank you.
Ms. Biancani, do you have any response to the response?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Yeah, the grease trap, I think what was on the plan just said a minimum. It was not specific, so that's why I made that comment. And then, relative to the volleyball court, what I was really looking for is could you provide a section that shows the construction of the volleyball court? Right? So you get it like a section view, so we can see, materials of construction, like what's the bottom of the volleyball court? Is it sunken? Does it have a liner? Right? So that's really what I was looking for, was a detail that shows the section of the volleyball court constructed over the top when whatever else is going to be constructed over the leach field, so that we can show that we have that separation distance is required. If you could just add a detail to the plans, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
And Ms. Barusa, do you have any comments or any additional comments?
I don't have any additional comments. The applicant's representative indicated that they had provided those materials that were requested, and they have the commitment to provide letter from Heritage Water, the comment letter from the fire district reflecting, and the plan, just to confirm, the plan does reflect the changes that were recommended by the fire chief, which included the relocation of the 3 closest parking spaces to the rear of the parking bay and the widening of that access point. So Chief Stoll's comments are reflected in this new plan. And again, I guess from a planning perspective, I would just recommend that as the board is doing the review, to at least establish details pertaining to the screening and fencing and hours of operation, and just to clarify and establish what those details are as you review. No additional comments.
Board members, do you got any questions or comments? So I guess I just wanted to have you kind of walk through a little bit of, we had the one comment from Upstate Transit regarding, would there be an inducement of people to get back to their property, and how could you mitigate that? How did you respond to that specifically?
As far as Upstate in their yard,
Yeah.
I really do like this particular map because it does show the proposed activities relative to all of the adjacent property owners. So Upstate is back in this area. I think you can see this is where the existing house is, where the bar will be, the outdoor area, the outdoor gaming area, and then 2 volleyball courts. The fence that's proposed right now does go back to just about the end of the parking area. From the end of the parking area to the closest structure, I would say is approximately 150 to 200 feet, something in that range. Seems like a pretty significant distance to me. It seems like all the activities will be forward on the site. I really don't see any reason why anybody would want to wander over into that area. We do have some fencing there by the volleyball courts to contain people in that area. So for somebody to go around that fencing, go through the woods about 150 to 200 feet back to Upstate seems like a low probability for something like that to happen. So we were not proposing any fencing or screening other than the existing vegetation that's in that area.
And does the vegetation depicted on that map reflect what's there after the clearing that's occurred?
Correct, it does, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is accurate to what we measured out in the field.
Okay.
What's there today, right now. So.
Okay. And then on the hours of operation, thank you. You proposed what was there. That is a little bit different than what we have else in the town center. On the other hand, we've never imposed in site plan specific thresholds on hours of operation. So I don't know if the board has any concerns about what they've proposed, or is it a fact enough that they've gone through the record, or do you want that to be a condition of approval, or what?
I think that the times are fine. I'm okay with those. I just want it to be officially available so that when the next if there is a next, I'm not saying that, but just to protect the town, that if there's a next owner, that they abide by the same hours. I don't know if meeting minutes are legally binding or.
I don't know. It's probably the plan.
Which is why I suggested maybe
note
the
on the
site
plan.
plan, just add a note.
Oh, we do have the hours of operation listed on
Okay.
the plans now.
Then we're good.
Before, but we did add this on to the second sheet was set.
Okay, it's perfect. Thank you.
In that case, then it probably would be binding on a subsequent owner. Okay, so if we do that. How does the board feel about proceeding where we're at now, or do you want to wait and see additional comments get addressed, or if not, what conditions would you want to consider?
One condition is what Mr. Bianconi.
The section view of the field view. And can you show us on the plans where the hours of operation are, just so we have them? Everybody knows.
They are. right
Okay.
here.
So, I mean, okay.
Actually, the third sheet, I'm sorry, I said the second.
Yeah, you said second. I was looking.
One second.
Well, yeah. Yeah, okay. I don't know, it's everybody, Leonard, are you satisfied with that? All your comments have been met?
Yes, so the comments that I had provided, yes, they've been addressed. Again, it's just about the planning board stipulating. The only recommendation I would make is to establish the aerial parameters for the hours of operation.
Which I think we've done, and he's incorporated into the drawing.
I think, yeah, I think that's fixed. And because the only concern, or I guess question I had, was whether or not 11 PM extended to volleyball as well. But if it's the outdoor area and it's just quiet outdoor gaming, I think just
I think
for the board to understand that, and whether or not there's.
9:30.
that I am aware of, the volleyball, the sports activities are capped at 9:30 PM. So it's just, I think that outdoor, maybe pavilion and patio area.
If the,
was
yeah, if the
till
board's
11.
comfortable with that, it's the board needs to determine
Yep.
your comfortability with each of the respective types of uses on the property.
Yep.
And those conditions and the parameters that they're operating under.
Okay. Okay. So with that, board ready to consider a action on the vote? Okay. Okay, having had a site plan submitted, application dated November 27, 2024 for the conversion of an existing single-family residence into an indoor-outdoor bar with ancillary outdoor amenities such as volleyball courts and so on. We've reviewed this pursuant to section of our code for section 1853 with respect to the adequacy of vehicle traffic, arrangement of pedestrian traffic, location, appearance of off-street parking, location and arrangement of the design and compatibility principles of accessory buildings and lighting, adequacy of stormwater and drainage, water supply, adequacy of the arrangements of trees, shrubs, and other landscaping, in this case, the fencing on the areas that have been noted. I would entertain a motion for site plan approval on the plan dated. Can you give me the plan date of that plan?
It is last revised 5/28.
528, that's what I thought. That's what I have. You got different ones? You think? Okay, 5/28/25, subject to the following two conditions. One, the payment of any outstanding escrow associated to engineering. And two, I want to make sure I get the language for this right, a section view of the leach field under the volleyball courts.
Of the volleyball court and relationship to the leach.
Of the volleyball court and,
Whatever it's under, there's a circle, there's a bunch of stuff, so whatever's above it. Right.
Okay, whatever, section view of the leach field, the whole leach field.
If I may add, just to establish the detail, if we could specify, provide a little snapshot of the fence detail, cross-section, not cross-section, 6-foot panel, material type, that way we know what to look for when we go out in the field. If we could include that in the final plan set,
So a third would be fence
fence
details.
detail, height and material type. Just so, yes, stay clear.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? There being none, please pull the board.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza,
Yes.
Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin,
Yes.
Chairman Barto.
Yes. Okay, so we'll have our council amend that resolution and finish it up and have that, and if you get a final set of plans to us with any of those additional changes, we'll sign them and get underway.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Have a good night.
Okay. Okay, next we have the continued review of a minor site plan for the Hannaford at 11 Trieble Avenue. Congratulations. Good luck.
Hi, good evening, everyone. For the record, I'm Brandy Nelson. I'm an engineer with Ty and Bond. We're here on behalf of Martin's Foods of South Burlington and Hannaford Brothers Supermarket, continuing to provide information to the planning board in support of the minor site plan amendment to the store to add an additional storage area at the back of the building. At our last meeting, we described that building and there was a request to go back and review whether or not we can increase the drive aisle width in the rear of the building to provide for a minimum 20-foot width. With the proposed addition, we had narrowed that space between the curb on the west side of the drive aisle and the proposed building addition down to 15 feet, 3 inches. We've been able to expand it an additional 4 feet, 9 inches to get a 20-foot width through the entire 70-foot length where both the addition and then the associated ramping is protected by bollards. So we are restricted to go any wider than that because of a transformer that exists 23 feet away, and we have to have bollards at least 3 feet off that transformer for maintenance and access. We have updated that plan and we've provided it to the fire chief and we've made a couple calls to him. I don't know if you can offer advice as to best time to reach the fire chief, but we've not been able to get him. I could come up tomorrow and meet with him.
Get you an email.
Oh, we did email him. Yeah, because we emailed him a set of plans and then we mailed him a set of plans.
I can give him a call and try.
Sure, I'm happy for the help, but I don't need to burden you with that. We're happy to just,
It's not a burden. We,
Oh.
if we can make contact, we'd be happy
and
to.
we'd be happy to. meet
And I
him.
think the only thing we're looking for to make sure that he's satisfied
That
that
he's aware
his
of the
vehicle
change.
can get through there.
I
Yeah.
completely understand.
Yeah.
So, and she can probably get that answer from him.
Yeah. Let me make a note.
Thank you, Sophia. I appreciate that. The other item that was requested, given the building's proximity to the county airport, was both to reach out to the county, which that review is in progress,
Yep.
I understand, but also to make an inquiry to the FAA with regard to the addition's height. The FAA, following our meeting in May, the FAA's website for making those inquiries has been down. So we were able to make that inquiry on the 28th of May. They say on the website 6 to 8 weeks before they'll get back to you. So we anticipate the earliest response would be the 9th of July, which happens to be your July meeting.
Yep.
So hopefully they'll have responded by then. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to submit anything prior to that meeting, but if it comes in early, we'll of course submit it.
Sure.
So. And
They've been under a little
think
stress
that's
lately.
it. Only other very small change was when we went to the zoning board of appeals, they asked for a couple of additional bollards.
Yeah, we're talking to them.
Okay,
They're doing our job.
they are doing their job. It's true, but we don't want to start.
We'll settle that. Don't worry about it.
We're fine adding 2 more bollards if that makes everyone happy. It's fairly minor
Okay.
from our perspective. So I'm happy to entertain any other questions that you have. I think from our standpoint, we recognize the FAA is sort of the critical path item here for allowing you guys to move forward along with the county. The county's meeting is upcoming, and
Yeah.
so you'll probably have that ahead of the July meeting. I don't know if you'd be willing to entertain setting a public hearing. We would recognize you need to keep it
Well,
open.
we'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that. Ms. Marusa, do you have any comments for the board in addition to what you sent us?
The applicant provided the
Yep.
update that I would have provided you, and to clarify, the zoning board of appeals will need to issue their area variance first or
Yep.
make a motion on the action first prior to the planning board getting approval. And with the sequence of events, Saratoga County Planning Board is in receipt of the area variance application and the site plan application, but can only review them in sequence by zoning board first and planning board. So we are in active communication with the planner. They understand the timeline we're looking at. We again anticipate hopefully that the county planning board will have a comment to us at the end of the month in advance of the next CBA meeting where potentially action could be taken. And then at that point, the referral for the planning board at the county can be taken. And then depending on whether or not the county is able to issue either a resolution or potentially an advanced MOU, that could position the applicant potentially for action or review in July.
Okay.
But the applicant is doing their due diligence, trying to satisfy the items that have been requested by both the planning board and the zoning board.
Okay. So with respect to the hearing, a hearing is optional under site plan, and this is a minor amendment. So I'm suggesting that we not have a hearing on it. The ZBA will have had one. I guess if the public's upset about this, we'll hear about it, and we can always then, if we need to schedule another hearing, consider scheduling another hearing, but I don't see the need. It's not like a site plan where it would be legally required. So if everybody's in agreement with that, we'll go into the,
Nothing substantially different.
no, this isn't a huge change from what has been previously approved. So, and you're dotting all your i's and crossing your t's on what we're asking about. So I think we'll not have a hearing on this.
Okay.
So we'll look to see what can be before us for July 9th.
Okay.
Possibly if everything's done and we can get it, we can make a decision or a conditional decision.
Okay, we're going to the ZBA on the 26th.
Yep.
Have a public hearing set for that meeting, so I don't know if they'll make a decision. I don't know, Sophia, if you think their decision is also contingent on FAA?
It shouldn't, well, it's a height variance, so.
I could clarify that my staff comments to the zoning board of appeals will not to have a conditional approval on those items as they are clearly site plan criteria.
Okay. Okay,
Okay.
great, thank you.
So
Do we need
that's,
to vote for it?
no, it's not even a waiver. I
not
mean,
a
it's
waiver.
if we were going to hold the hearing, we'd have to vote to hold the hearing, but it's an optional hearing under site plan review.
Okay.
And we've done that before. So, all right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any other business to be brought before the board? If not, I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:29 PM.
Mr. Chairman, I so move.
Mr. Marsicano,
Yes.
Okay, you can roll call.
Ms. Padula,
Yes.
Ms. Van Denza, Mr. Whittle,
Yes.
Mr. Fry,
Yes.
Ms. Marin, Chairman Barto.
Yes. We're adjourned. Right.